Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful, and we're beautiful, and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, you must become the victor. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be watching this video called Dear Elon Musk from somebody named Sam Hyde. And I honestly think this may be one of the most important videos that I've seen in a very, very long time, because this encapsulates what I believe is the fundamental problem with this particular situation, wherein you have Donald Trump and Elon Musk betraying MAGA. And I don't think there's any argument about that. They have absolutely betrayed MAGA, because the entire reason that Donald Trump was elected was to end illegal immigration, to deport the people that were taking American jobs, and also to put America first. America first means Americans first. It's why it was so popular when Donald Trump said, we're going to hire American, we're going to buy American. What does that mean? Hire American. It's pretty self-explanatory. Buy American. What does that mean? Well, we're going to buy from American companies that have hired American employees. This betrayal is not insignificant. It's not some petty, frivolous difference. I do not agree with the people saying that we need to all come together and unify and whatnot, or the liberals win. If we win, but the win has absolutely no meaning, there's no point in winning. If we're just going to win in order to change from having immigration where you have Mexicans coming in and taking cheap labor, or you have Indians coming in and taking cheap labor, you lose either way. Because here's the reality. America is not just an economic zone. It's not just a place for people to come in and make money and dump all of their baggage. No, America is the people. There's a culture here. There's a set of ideals, sure, but it's the people. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten that because it's convenient for them. They want cheap labor. They don't want to have to deal with, this person has rights. This person has the ability to negotiate a salary. These corporations and these shady, shitty people want the ability to basically have total control and bring in essentially slave labor to replace the American worker. All for their bottom line, and they want bigger numbers because that's gonna be good for America. No, these people are all shit. And there's a reason why there's such a visceral pushback, and there's a reason why so many people are not having this. Donald Trump was elected to make America great again. It's not to make America India. And by the way, let me just say before we start watching this, you may say that the biggest, the greatest deception the devil ever pulled off was convincing people he didn't exist. I would say that the greatest deception that these tech bros are putting out is that India is producing the best and brightest, and we can't do it without them. That is the biggest load of horseshit I've ever heard in my life. Absolutely insane. Lunacy. The fact that they expect anyone to be stupid enough to believe that blows my mind. No, we do not need any foreign labor. None. Not to be a ranch hand or a dancer at Chippendales or... No, we don't need any Indian labor or any Chinese labor. Now, on a very, very, very small scale, like we're talking 100 or 200 people. If you want to scout the best and the brightest across the world, fine. But no, legal immigration has to end. And the reason is because you have to look at it from our perspective. Americans are on the rope. They're on the ropes. They have had to deal with 4 years of one of the most incompetent and destructive presidencies of my lifetime. Joe Biden. We need to figure stuff out, and we need to make sure that it's a priority that Americans are put first. This push by Elon Musk and this push by Patrick Bet-David and all these other people, Vivek, this is essentially establishing that these people don't think very highly of Americans. They don't think highly of this culture. They don't appreciate it. They don't respect it. That is what is made abundantly clear. Because when they talk about, oh, Americans just need to increase their work ethic, what they're saying is, for my wealth, for my profit, for my productivity, I want more Americans competing with the 50 cents a day sort of slave wage mentality where somebody works 23 hours a day and gets paid next to nothing, and that's considered grind culture. That needs to be snuffed out. That mindset, that mentality, that needs to be eviscerated, because that's not just, oh, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That is exploitative. That is people looking to abuse the American people, and the American people have been abused for too long. That's what I have to say about this. So let's watch this video from Sam Hyde, because this is crucially important. This may be one of the most important videos I cover on my channel for quite some time. And let's get into it. And this guy's particularly hilarious.
Elon Musk. By the way, please don't watch this if you're not Elon Musk, okay? This is a one-off video that we're doing. This is private, personal. I put this in his email. I don't know how you got this, unless you're on the Asmongold Discord server, in which case you know my every move, okay? Me and Asmongold have been planning this for a while now. Moist Critical's involved. And yeah, I guess if you're on the Moist Critical Discord server, you would have access to this file.
He's joking here, by the way. I know some people have taken this seriously. I don't know. I just can't see Moist Critical covering this topic. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. But yeah, Asmongold did a reaction and basically said that he had nothing to do with this. But, it's funny. It's funny. He's trying to rope in some of the biggest content creators in the world.
So kudos to you, hacker. I don't think Elon's going to watch this. And listen, I know as a comedian, first and foremost, I don't expect people to take me seriously, but it is a fact that shit posting and public opinion are now intermingled permanently, and it's not going anywhere. True. And that's just the way it is. I get all my news from memes, basically. That's how I get my news. Is that how you get your news? How would you even get the news if you weren't looking at memes? You'd watch a show? That's even more fucking retarded.
Yeah.
We turn that off.
I agree.
It's a smart thermostat, so it's going to take 15 minutes to figure out how that fucking thing works.
Oh my god, he's not wrong. I had to program a smart TV. Man, that thing wants your birth certificate. It wants all the phone numbers. Gosh, the smart devices, they are not intuitive and they are not smart.
It's very intuitive. I don't know why the Nest thermostat is taking you so long to learn and intuit. Okay, a toddler could figure this out. A toddler on an iPad could figure out how to use the Nest thermostat. That's Chris Lynch, by the way, Elon. Do not hire him, okay? He's leaving this job very soon. See, he's white. He's too lazy. Chris, you're so lazy and white. Well, yeah. You guys should have studied violin harder as kids.
Oh, God.
I swear to God, Vivek would have figured this out by now. I want to believe that Elon is one of the great men of our age, and that he has what it takes to become a 21st century Andrew Carnegie. I think it's important to have great men to look up to. Trump, Joe Rogan, oh, there it goes. Elon, Tucker, and it's not necessarily important that our great men are perfect, but there are symbols of what we could be.
Right.
I think if Ron Paul took steroids, he would be my number one. That would be my number one guy. You agree? Yeah. I would like to offer you an escape, an exit from this hole you've been digging. You are a beloved figure. Anytime you do anything remotely based, people lose it. Oh my God, he's based. Yo! He just said that woke liberals aren't cool. He's based. What does he say? Yeah, anytime you post an AI kitten in a MAGA hat, people lose their, he's based! He's fucking based, man. For the guy who's the free speech guy, and not only...
People on the right, or even if they're more centrist, are so used to being lied about, vilified, objected to, that if anyone even shows a modicum of respect for them and their ideas, they're immediately celebrated and brought in. For example, Cenk Uygur. I mean, Cenk Uygur is, God, I'm not even going to go into the whole thing about Cenk Uygur. That would be another hour-long video in and of itself. But he's genuinely one of the most just bloviated, disgusting, bombastic, loudmouth, irrational, just, you know, he's the guy that got into Alex Jones' face at the, I think it was the RNC, and acted like some big bloated bear, this buffalo. And he's always been anti-Republican, calling Trump, you know, a dictator and all that. It's like he's been just one of the most obnoxious, brain-dead leftists that you would ever see. He's been one of the biggest as it relates to that. But he comes out and he like tepidly, extremely tepidly goes, well, there may be some ideas that MAGA have that are not so bad. And he gets a standing ovation at TPUSA. So, yeah, people on the right are looking for validation from people. I don't agree with it because these people are not your allies, they're not your friends, they don't actually agree with you, they don't actually support you, and they will betray you at a moment's notice, as we see from Elon Musk. They will betray anything that you think resembles, you know, your shared principles at a moment's notice. And it won't even be an afterthought to them.
That, but the reasoning from first principles guy, the logical fallacy guy, the Reddit guy, good faith argue with everybody, you know, whatever. All that shit. Blanket banning groypers, taking away blue checks, changing the algorithm of the site because 100 people ratioed you.
Yeah.
Because there's fucking 50,000 posts. They're all organic, by the way. This is not some Russian bot farm. It's not some nefarious
that's
behind
a
the
massive
scenes.
cope.
Let's mess with Elon.
So that's a massive cope that this is like a paid narrative. And it's just Elon being a spurg and him having a tantrum and basically just, you know, throwing his toys out, you know, throwing the toys out with the pram. He's basically just saying, well, there's no way that people could actually disagree with me, so it must be a bot farm. No, it's organic. It's organic. It's completely and totally natural. People voted for Trump for this very thing that you're now standing against. It's natural that people would have a visceral reaction and feel betrayed and want to let you know about it, as we see in this video.
We're gonna fuck with him. That's not what it is. It's you tapped into a moist critical. You tapped into a moist critical, and we're back to moist critical. Mainline concern for the American people, and you treated it in a way that was glib and dismissive. You just became a Republican 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And you're talking about removing a big portion of regular people, root and stem. No. People fucking love you.
No. That's true. Elon, what will happen is you will become part of the Republican establishment. There's nothing that can stop that. But the reality is that your type of just low IQ, autistic spurg talk is going to alienate people in the Republican Party. And when the midterms come around, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get absolutely slaughtered. I realize you haven't been in politics for long, but one of the important things about politics is that you listen to people. Elon, you have acted in the most subtarded way I've ever seen. You have immediately alienated people that supported you. Like last week, Fresh and Fit and all these other people, they supported you. They may not have agreed with you, but they supported you because you put free speech back into the, public zeitgeist. You've gone back on that completely and totally. You are banning people and deplatforming them and taking away their subscriptions and doing all the same things that your predecessors did. And now people are looking at it going, well, okay, so you've betrayed everything and now you want to co-opt the Republican Party. You may get in with the Republican establishment, but Elon, you're going to lose. There's no way that you can win. Because these people that you think are subtards, they're your customers. They're the people that you need to support you. Because if you become so toxic that even your money can't compensate for the brand damage that would be involved associating with you, and don't think that it's not possible, Elon. Don't think that it's not possible. Bloomberg. Remember Bloomberg? He ran for president, spent $100 million, spent a fortune. He didn't even make a dent. Do you think that Mark Zuckerberg could run for president? Do you think people like him? See, Elon, you are under the misconception that, you're under the misconception that you're special, and you're not. You see, the thing that actually made you special was advocating for free speech, because in your industry, it's such a niche thing. It's such a far out concept, free speech. Because Zuckerberg doesn't believe it. None of these people in Silicon Valley believe it. But you did. You've gone back on that. And it's undoubtedly you've gone back on that. Everyone admits that you've gone back on that, except for the people that are sucking farts from your asshole because you have money. They think that by criticizing you that you're going to get angry and you're going to, basically cut them up. Like somebody like Ian Miles Chong, whose entire existence, her entire livelihood exists on getting paid on X. I wouldn't expect that guy to be critical and to speak the truth. But the reality is, Elon, you are basically one step away from being branded alongside Jeff Bezos. And a lot of these other guys that are like, okay, yeah, they're a billionaire. We don't care what they have to say. They're the enemy of, they're the enemy of the American people. They're the ones that go out there and put profit above everything else. You are one step away from being that. And I think that you don't realize because of people kissing your ass, you don't realize genuinely how disposable you are, because you're a Silicon Valley billionaire. It seems like these are kind of a dime a dozen. It seems like there's a lot of these billionaires, and it's not because they're the smartest, it's because either they've, taken advantage of the system, they've abused certain rules, Patrick Bet-David getting community noted. Vivek Ramaswamy, people talking about the fact that he, got rich, maybe not by working 80 hours a week, but sort of by releasing a drug that had failed clinical trials 4 times. That's allegedly what's going around on the internet. Now, whether that's true or not is irrelevant. That's what people are talking about. That's what people are saying. And it's kind of weird that all of these people have these sort of stories of underhanded tactics and nefarious goings on. And you can totally be one of them. You could totally be part of that. But the thing was, people were looking at you and saying, okay, but this guy's more. And if you're not more, which it's looking like you're not, that's fine. People will adjust. People will adapt. They're adaptable. But that betrayal is going to sting for some time.
They will forgive you. Nobody is trying to get you to become turbo, base pilled, full Pat Buchanan immigration policy. People broadly understand that you are a San Francisco, tech, California, international immigrant. Well, if you want to be a regular tech guy, that's fine. You can do that. You can be Larry Ellison. You can go play on the boat. Nobody's going to give a fuck. Realize what you're fighting for. If you're going to be the tech king, if you've courted the MAGA base, you wanted these people on your side. They're ready to be on your side, but you have to fight not for Ben Shapiro's idea of the country of America, the notion of America as this collection of ideas. That's not what it is. It's Americans. That's who you have to fight for. If you're in America, 100%. Doing business in America, you want to be the man in America, you have to fight for the American people. You're not fighting for a paragraph. You're not fighting for a set of ideas, man. It's the American people who need your help. That's fundamentally why I think people are pissed off here. And it's an easy fix. Just don't call them retards. Elon, have you met Chris? He's on Asmongold. He's streaming all the time. You should just check him out. He's playing these games and stuff. He's amazing what the kid does with video games. I can't believe it. People didn't suddenly have a flare-up of India hate. I've been monitoring the Indian hate websites for a while. It's actually set to my homepage. I've been checking these websites out. I watch what these people.
So I'm actually gonna take a step back at this point, and I'm gonna put my mic on mute, and I'm gonna watch the rest of this with you guys. But I'm not gonna interrupt them, and I think it's important. I think it's important that you guys watch this. I do. I think it is absolutely vital that you see this. Because while not every point I agree with, this guy said something in here that I think is just so critical. That America is not a set of ideals or beliefs. There's a part of that. But America is its people. And they are not interchangeable widgets. The American people, especially those who have been here for 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 20, generations, however long that may be, the fact is that you have people here that believe in this country, believe in the principles of this country, and there is something that is uniquely American, and that's not just financial. That's not just, oh, somebody came here, the American dream. Well, the American dream is an American dream for a reason. It's for Americans. Now, if somebody from across the world wants to immigrate here, fine. But that's not even what we're talking about with these visas. These are not immigrants. These are people that are coming here on visas, extracting resources from our country, taking jobs for less pay than Americans. So Americans are having to compete for pennies on the dollar. This should be illegal. Anyone who advocates this should be punished, should be financially ruined. This is not for the best interest of Americans. This does not help the country. And I think that this is an evil. I think this is an idea that needs to be purged from our cultural zeitgeist. And anyone who stands in the way of this, I think Elon Musk says going to war. Good, go to war. Yeah, you turn your platform into a pro-censorship oligarch and see what happens. See how long it lasts. But the fact is that America deserves better. than what's currently being promoted and pushed out there. And I think that anyone who's downplaying it has a financial interest in maintaining the status quo, or they want to get in good with the powers that be. And my thing is, the American people need help. And the way that they get help is not by importing cheap foreign labor to compete with them and telling them, oh, your culture's bad, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I think that's pathetic. But anyway, let's watch Sam Hyde here wrap it out. I'll come in at the end to add my final words. But I want to thank you for actually taking the time to watch this, because I think that it's critically important.
People do. There were very few overt Indian haters spewing their nonsensical filth everywhere 72 hours ago. What happened? Okay, 72 hours ago, most people in the MAGA base looked at Vivek Ramaswamy with some notion of admiration, or hey, that guy says cool stuff every once in a while. Hey, you know what? I think I like that guy. Now, he's got to be deported. Sucks, man. And he's not being deported because of the color of his skin. He's being deported for the content of his character. And I think that truly was a mask-off moment where we saw that Vivek Ramaswamy really is just a fucking nerd who needs to go back. I think that what you did is different. I think it's everybody spurgs out. I'm spurging out right now. I'm going to spurg out later, okay? On Chris, Lynch. And also, Indians do cool stuff every once in a while. They got the chest slapping, wrestling. You guys watch that? Action movies. He's shooting a bullet out of the air with a gun. He's flipping over the tuk-tuk. Indian clubs, shoulder rehab exercise, fantastic. The hate, it's irrational hate. It's just racism. It's just a nonsensical racism. The hate and racism and anti-Indian sentiment, it's there to the extent that Indians are being used to replace white people. That's it. We have to stop playing pretend. We're not talking about exceptional Indians here. And that's why this is sort of spreading like wildfire, people sharing these H-1B lists of what the jobs are. You are not in Calcutta scouting for the next Indian Einstein. You're not. We have to make it to outer space and invent new computers. Let's get to India and get the next Nikola Tesla. That's not what's happening. We're talking about people at fucking gas stations. You bring them over, you put them in a fucking gas station, and then we'll go around all the gas stations in the USA and find the next genius. Well, what if he's not in India? What if he's working at a gas station in North Carolina? He might be there. We don't know. Why don't we bring everybody here and then we can look for everybody? That's actually a fucking genius idea. We bring fucking everybody here, and then, like a needle in a haystack, we find the one man who can invent electrical computer. That sounds fucking retarded, and it's not true. You have to at least say that the H-1B program is being scammed. If you don't admit that, then as far as like any type of discussion that goes anywhere is concerned, it's over. It's over. This is a direct quote from Moist Critical himself. I'm speaking on his behalf. He was too busy streaming Marvel Rivals to talk to you. So I'm here on his behalf, giving you opinions that he approved, okay? Nobody's expecting you to go full Steve Bannon here. You're a tech bro, we get it. Immigrant. But if you are on Team America, and by Team America, I don't mean Ben Shapiro's collection of ideas. America's not a collection of ideas. America is a people, Americans. If you are Team America, then the most prominent talking points need to be the immediate deportation of illegals and the end of the abuse of the American worker by programs like this H-1B, the gamification of stuff like this that's set up to benefit people who aren't us. Nobody wants to solve the Japanese birth rate problem by turning Japan into India. That's preposterous. That only would work in a computer simulation where you can just change the code and make a Japanese person. I've tried it! It can't be done. In my laboratory, okay, where Asmongold is right now, down in the basement, I have tried over 150 times to turn an Indian into a Japanese man. And the only thing I was able to accomplish was boiling them. All right? If you think, Elon, or Asmongold, if you're watching this, if you think you can turn an Indian person into a Japanese person by boiling them, not gonna happen, okay? Go down to my basement and talk to the 150 Indians that I already tried that on. Doesn't work. Nobody wants to solve the American birth rate problem. What's gonna happen? We're gonna run out of people. Oh, the stock prices are gonna go down. Oh, that's a problem for the All In podcast to figure out. It's David Sachs. Sachs of what? Sachs of gold? Just start calling yourself David Sachs of gold. What's the other guy? Jason Sachs? Asmongold? Asmongold. David Sachs should change his name to Asmongold. The branding is already set up for you. Asmongold wants to himself. You can replace his body and become the top streamer in America. I shouldn't say Asmongold wants to himself. I love Asmongold. That guy's classic. He's the ultimate. He's the best streamer. Is he good? I think he's good. I've never watched him. I just know his name is Asmongold. The only people who want to fix the American birth rate problem by turning America into India are fuckers. People are not interchangeable economic units. If they're not more than that, then that's just an extension of antinatalism. That's just nihilism. That's just people don't matter. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the universe doesn't care shit. The universe cares. That's why we're here. It's understandable why a computer guy, why an engineer would think that or would want to think that, because it would make solving problems so much easier. We have hardwired group preferences, we have genetic memory, we have culture. This is not learned stuff. It's so deeply embedded in us that it carries on for thousands of years. Thinking of people as interchangeable units, while it would be useful in a simulation or in an economic theorem, it strips them of their humanity. And by the way, it's one of the first steps towards any authoritarian dictatorship type system. It's one of the first steps towards Marxism, is thinking of people as just labor. It's a very gross, anti-human thing to think, just to appeal to the Redditor in you. That's middle brain shit. Stupid people at the bottom of the spectrum know that everybody is special. Everybody's special. Everybody's different and has their own thing. Retards know this. Geniuses understand that everybody is a unique product by and for their zeitgeist, or Zeitgeist if you want to go with the moist critical pronunciation. Everybody is uniquely a product of their time and location and has their place in space and time. The smart people know this, the stupid people know this. It's people in the middle with 110 IQ, which is the worst IQ to have, who think that people can just be pushed around and moved around and changed. They can't. There's no hate towards Hispanics, okay? But that's why the room that I'm sitting in is covered in dust, is because the general contractor I hired used Hispanic labor. I didn't know. They laid down masonry cement. When I said I wanted polished concrete floors, masonry cement, you can't polish it. They left board marks and footprints in it. And I had to pay another crew of black people, okay, shout out to Greg, to come in here with jackhammers and get this shit dumpstered out of here. I went and hired my own blacks. I went in the ghetto and hired them by hand. That's how you need to hire blacks for SpaceX. And what you get is you get lower quality construction. You get lower wages for the blue collar workers who are here and fighting. You realize that people are fucking up against a wall fighting to make ends meet? Do you understand that the American people are on the ropes right now? Your people are not the world, okay? It's the American people. That's where this shit is popping off. That's where you came to do business. The American people are your problem now, to the extent that you want people to pay attention to your opinion. And by people, I mean actual people, not Patrick Bet David, not Ian Miles Chong, Scott Adams, not these fucking faggots that'll walk around sucking your ass because you have money and because you made an electric car. But to the extent that you want that, you have to protect the American people. You're all about being pro-natalism and increasing the birth rate. Why is the average dude gonna wanna have kids when he can barely afford to live by himself and eat Domino's? Hey, why isn't China importing Infinity Indians right now? If it's such a huge economic advantage, why isn't China doing it? We need to do a naval blockade of China to make sure they don't get any of these amazing Indians. Every Indian that makes his way into China is a threat because China will use their genius to get one over on us. That's the biggest threat this country's facing, right? I think we need to go nuclear. I think we need to say, if China imports enough Indians, it's like diamonds. It's like nanotechnology. Indians are like nanotechnology. We have to be willing to use nuclear weapons to keep China from getting these precious Indians. That's step one. Sounds retarded, right? Because it is. It's retarded. It's subtarded. Ever hear of a subtard? By the way, Moist Critical coined that term, subtard. Competing with China in what sense? GDP? Making a number go up? Having software companies that are valued more highly? Competing with China in what sense? And at what cost? If the cost is making America look like Calcutta, that's not worth it. That's not a price that we're willing to pay. People keep posting these aerial drone display videos of drones shaped like a dragon. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's something that a bright high schooler could do on a smaller scale, is it not? Making drones move around in 3D space. How is that an impressive problem to anybody except boneheads who are mystified by drones in the first place? Look at this aerial drone display. It's a ballet of killer drones. How can we compete with that? That's what drones do. They move around in coordinate space. Who gives a fuck? It's the low-hanging fruit of robotics that mystifies people. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Didn't we have more impressive shit in the 80s? Isn't this more impressive?
One, hover. With no pilot to compromise performance, even more unusual craft and propulsion systems have been designed and tested.
Why do we need to compete with them? Can't we just kick their spies out and tell them to fuck off? When do I get some Chinese pussy, okay? Am I not a big enough media figure that the CCP, is it the CCP, Chinese Communist Party? Why aren't they sending these hot spies to fuck with me? Suck my dick for blackmail. When's that gonna happen? China, I'm waiting, okay? I have 300,000 YouTube subscribers, or 250,000 probably, 200,000? How much on Hide Wars? If you have over 100,000 Twitter followers, you should demand that a hot Chinese spy comes and sucks your dick, okay? You can take video, whatever. Why is that not, am I not popular enough to get this fucking mingling? To get Bing Bing over here? Ah! A Tesla Model X and Bing Bing over here sucking me. That's my price, China. Send them over. Do we need to build giant cities that nobody lives in to compete? Do we need to turn our country into a surveillance state fucking nightmare to compete? Do we need to essentially have slave labor to compete? What type of competition are you talking about? And at what cost? Competing with China is competing with literal slave labor, and that's impossible to compete with. It's not worth competing with. And nobody who has a real sense of what matters in life thinks anything about competing with China. We've been hearing this for 30 fucking years. As long as China has been an industrial nation, there have been headlines, The Economist. I remember this in the dentist office when I was a kid. China's looming on the horizon. We have to accept a lower quality of life immediately to compete with China. That's the thrust of every article. You, the American worker, you have to take less pay and accept more bullshit because there's a big boogeyman looming on the horizon. It's China for 30 years.
All right, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I got to step in. I could not agree with him more. I mean, just, do you understand why I think it's so important for you to see this? Because it is absolutely It is absolutely spot on. One of the reasons why I'm so adamant about being America first is because I've, not to go too Andrew Tate on it, but I see the Matrix. I see the way that things are crafted to keep people in a certain space, in a certain, mentality. And the reality is that there is absolutely no benefit to the American people by outsourcing cheap labor to India, bringing them over here. They're not our people. They don't have our culture. This idea that it's going to improve America to bring in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Indians to this country, or Chinese, or any other person that's comfortable with cheap labor, that is absolutely atrocious. It's inhuman. It's evil. It's absolutely insane. No. The answer is no. And it shouldn't be a tepid no. It should be a resounding sonic boom no. And it was. That was why Donald Trump was elected. And some people say, well, there's only 85,000 H-1B visas a year. It's not about the number of visas a year. It's not, it's not even about the number of illegal immigrants, although we want to get that down to zero. We want to deport the people who are here. It's the mindset. Do you understand? It's the mindset. Any person that is not 100% on the side of the American people, that person's got to go. And by on the side of the American people, I mean any retard like Patrick Bet-David or Vivek that says, no, American people need to compete for lower wages. They need to compete with working more hours for less money. Anyone who's advocating that, any person who's advocating that needs to metaphorically be put into the stocks and have vegetables thrown at them. Metaphorically, they need to be mocked and humiliated and ridiculed, and their reputation needs to be at a zero. Whenever that person talks, it should be like watching a comedy special. Like, oh, look, it's the town idiot. And that's what Vivek has done to himself. That's what Elon has done to himself. Because they went against the American people. Americans are too lazy. They're too stupid. Fuck you.
Before that, it was Japan. It's constant. It's to keep wages suppressed. It's to make you shut up. Elon doubles down in this tweet, offering a false dichotomy. Either we have to have more legal immigration, or you, the person disagreeing with it, you want America to fail for your own personal gain. What personal gain are you talking about? You want America to fail for your own personal gain. What is Elon, what are you talking about? How does anybody personally gain from this? The only gain happening is in stock prices of tech companies. That's the gain. That's where the gain is. Cui bono. That's who stands to benefit from this arrangement. This tweet, it's not first principles thinking. It's not in good faith dialogue. This is a dishonest mischaracterization. Nobody's calling you a liar. People say things in the heat of the moment that are dishonest, though. This is a dishonest mischaracterization of the tens of thousands of people who are blowing up your website. This is not an own on Elon. This is not dunking on Elon. I know that you can bring the ban hammer down, and I know that you are going to be tempted to do so, that you already have with the groypers, which, by the way, you have to undo that, man. You blanket banned people, not for saying or not for posting swastikas, but for stating their opinion on this H-1B issue. That is a complete violation of the trust that the people you wanted to like you placed in you when you said that you're for free speech. It's straight George W. Bush, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. That's what this is. You're either agreeing with me or you're fucking an enemy. You're an enemy. It's not an argument. It's not a well-reasoned position. It's just my way or the highway. Is that what free speech is? Is that who you are? You can just be a celebrity. You can be like Ellen DeGeneres. You can be like The Rock. And you can get Ozempic, you can get breast implants, start going on The View, whatever you want for popularity. You can do that, of course. But to the extent that you have popularity, if you keep digging this hole, it will be misplaced, and it'll be there because you're rich. What does winning actually mean? Healthy, functioning societies, they need more than gadgets. They need more than Marvel, more than goy slop. They need a shared ideology, heritage, history, beliefs and values, religion, or they collapse and they crumble. That's Babel, that's Rome, that's every empire that's been crushed because there wasn't social cohesion. Basic bitch libertarian principles aren't enough. Maybe they're enough to get VC funding, maybe they're enough to create an interesting exercise of some sort, but they're not enough to hold people together. And again, we're back to the idea of people as a collection of economic units. That's what at the foundation of Marxism, that reality is just math. And thus the justification for a lot of Marxism is also what leads Silicon Valley libertarian type people to attempt to quantify the unquantifiable. Mount Rushmore, the space program, the interstate system, motion pictures, electricity, these are all things that are not quantifiable. So they're quantifiable in the sense that you can look back and you can say that they cost X amount of dollars, or that a certain amount of concrete and steel was used in their construction. But these dream projects are unquantifiable things. There's no slider in the program where you can crank up the number of Indians to 200 million and bring the American dream to fruition faster, okay? There's no data entry point where you can bump up the Indians and get Chrysler buildings popping up everywhere, more Art Deco construction. We do not need more bloated code bases, more tech gadgets, more poorly run hotels, more work ethic, okay? What we need is leaders willing to fight for the American people, not for corporations, not for the idea of America, but for the American people. That is...
God, that is just so beautiful. And it's absolutely spot on. Trying to put the onus on the American worker. You just don't work hard enough. You're just not smart enough. No, our leadership is shit. And they give far too many breaks to these corporations that have abused the law for far too long. Hiring quotas. How are CEOs and people responsible for this not in jail for violating the Civil Rights Act? How are these corporations not being punished? Whether it be criminally or whether it be financially, how are they not being brought to heel for violating the spirit of our laws? How is it that these studios and these companies and these corporations and these people have been allowed to abuse the American worker for so long? It's absolutely shocking. And now when the American people finally stand up and say, enough, we're going to vote for Donald Trump because he says he wants to hire American, he wants to buy American. Well, as soon as he gets elected, he reverts back to, no, we just need to import more people from around the world. Anyone who doesn't acknowledge that is one of the biggest betrayals of this century, you're deluding yourself.
Is the only thing that we need on the brink of collapse, on the eve of our crumbling. It needs to be something higher, a higher ideal than tech company market caps. If it's just that, then it's just noise. It's just not reality. Reality is the hundreds of thousands of kids who are graduating with massive college debt, hundreds of job applications. They're being looked over for people who are not us. That's not a meritocracy. That's not some idealistic, high-minded thing. It's just money. Apple and Google might win, but America will be worse. The soil that all this winning flourishes out of is salted. And that means that the next Apple, the next Google will be Chinese. Potentially the next SpaceX will be Chinese. Wouldn't that be strange? Wouldn't that be interesting if China makes it to Mars first? It would be great for humanity. Why don't we do it? Let's do it. China makes it to Mars before America. Does that sound like fun? It's just humans. They're just interchangeable economic units. Why wouldn't we want that? I think we do it. It sounds good to me. How do we define winning? I just won. That was Asmongold that I spit on. I killed him. I'm not dissing Asmongold. I'm just playing around. I spit on Moist Critical. I'll spit on his face. Fucking guy. Nah, we love Moist. We have a deal with Moist right now. It's for nicotine pouches. These are Moist's nicotine pouches. I call them Moist. Did you know Moist is a Yiddish word? I didn't know Moist Critical is actually Jewish. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Crazy fact. Winning. Is winning making it so that tech companies have even higher valuations? Is that winning? It's the valuation of Netflix. I figured it out. That's why we're not winning, is because Netflix stock isn't high enough. That's the only way to win. I want to kill my neighbors and burn them alive and blow up my car, but it's okay because Netflix is worth $3 trillion. I want to cut my cock off and scramble my brain with fucking fluoride. I'm gonna win because Netflix is worth $3 trillion. I can't believe the dollars are this high. I can't believe we're winning this much. The dollars are this high. We have such good drones and spying technology. We're winning. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. At least leftoid medicine vaccine brain niggas. Bleep that out, please. I said people. At least people whose blood has been replaced with vaccines and are so far on the left they salute Mickey Mouse. They think that they're helping people. If winning is just drones doing an aerial display while a robot jerks me off to sample my DNA, then everything is lost. I killed a homeless person today, Chris. Did you know that? It was free speech. I said, you fucking dirty ass bum ruining my street. I'll kill you. And then I used a speech gun to shoot a speech bullet into his speech head. I ripped an NFL cheerleader team. The guys too. I used free speech on them. Do they have male cheerleaders in the NFL? National Fag League. Look it up, please. Does the NFL have male cheerleaders? That is awesome if that's true.
Almost a third of the league.
A third of the league is male cheerleaders. America is the greatest country on earth. Here's your male cheerleaders. Is everybody on fentanyl? Everybody working at D'Angelo's? Everybody working at the mall? They're all retards? Everybody who's had their lives destroyed by Big Pharma, by the grist mill of inflation and taxation, everybody that's been betrayed by their leadership in this country, are they all retards? Is everybody who's got, and this is a lot of people, who has $400 in their bank account and is getting hit with overdraft fees and has the landlord from hell, are they all retards? You work at a sub sandwich shop. You couldn't invent PayPal. If you really believe that these people are all retards, then you have no place in the discourse going on about the future of this country. You are just a computer guy. And I don't think you really believe that. I hope to God that you don't. But if that's really what you believe, then you're not a leader. I could say fuck you. I could say take a step back and fuck your own face. But I'll say this. If you really believe that the American people are retards, which they are, we got male cheerleaders in the NFL, but if you really do not have in your heart grace and respect for the Homer Simpson, vinyl siding, economy shitbox driving retards who make your dream possible, if you have a heart, if you are a human being, then that will sting harder than telling you to go fuck yourself. You can do the go fuck yourself all day. I tell myself to go fuck myself. You can say that all day. Fuck you, fuck you. I say that in the mirror when I wake up and when I put makeup on. Who gives a fuck? If you believe these people are retards and you don't have any goodwill towards them, then you're not a leader. you're just a nerd. And there's plenty of those. There's plenty of nerds who got lucky. I bought Bitcoin, Magic the Gathering online exchange. I got lucky. There's no shortage of nerds who got lucky. There's this disturbing idea from the BoomerCon right that America is just a collection of ideas, and you bring everybody in the world, the teeming masses who are desperate for a half gallon of milk, you bring them here and all of a sudden they're hit like lightning with this idea that makes them able to make this country stronger. This country's never been weaker, and it's never been more open to foreigners who aren't us. These two things, they're not unrelated, they're directly related. Would Ben Shapiro say the same thing about Israel? Israel's just a collection of ideas. Would Vivek say the same thing about India? India is just a collection of ideas, really good ideas. That's why they're doing so good. Grope women on the train. That's not a glib remark, by the way. I make a lot of jokes about Indians in my stand-up act. I had an Indian woman come up to me after a show. I thought she was gonna chew me out and beat my ass, ear-beating Indian style, for the jokes that I made. She said to me, "Thank you for saying that. I went there with my 13-year-old sister and they pulled her pants down on the train." Is that an Indian idea? When we bring them over, does that idea suddenly vanish and they get the neural net download of American ideas? Is that how it works? The people who are mad at you right now don't view America as a collection of ideas. It's not an economic zone. I hate how there's this argument against Americans asking them what they built. If you're so great, what did you build? What did you build? Nothing significant that gets built gets built on an individualistic scale. The greatest things that humans have built, cathedrals, which if you disagree with this, it's just, you're wrong. I mean, computers are pretty up there, but cathedrals are a good example of this. Cathedrals are built over hundreds of years. They're built not just by the army of stonemasons who build them, but by the towns who pay for it. They are the cream sitting on top of the cake. The cake is the soil, the cake is the vinyl siding dumbasses who are your customers, who are the people who pay for this shit by putting their retirement accounts in Vanguard mutual funds. They're the people who you owe a debt to, a debt for being able to do the stuff that you do. These H-1B tech workers that are coming in, so many of them are just managing apps that other people built. They're maintaining code bases for stuff that was built years ago. What are they making? Social media apps that collect all your data? They're making to-do apps, dating apps. Who fucking cares, man? What did they build? Mobile phone games? It's just stuff that feeds more into consumerism. It's not actually making life better for anybody. The sentiment that Americans aren't good enough, that's one of the darker things that has happened here. I know that Vivek Ramaswamy does believe it to be the case, and for him, this Twitter bomb was a mask-off moment in a way that I hope it wasn't for you. But that sentiment and the Twitter deboosting, algorithm change, blanket ban, all that stuff, those are the darker things in the sense of not good for humanity, not good for the future. Running Twitter the same way your enemies did before you bought it from them. Is that what you wanted when you bought this thing? Is that the let it sink in moment? Is that what you envisioned for the global meeting grounds? And we're not talking about just making the 10% of people on the left and the 10% of people on the right mad. The middle is the Overton window. You're just talking about satisfying the Overton window. This is censorship. You're engaging in censorship pretty much right off the rip here. You just bought Twitter. You just got in with Trump. You just became a Republican. You just courted the MAGA base. That's a pretty big betrayal of the role that you have stepped in to fill, whether or not it's even true, okay? I couldn't work at SpaceX. I don't have a delusion about that. It doesn't matter because you are in charge of American companies. You are an American leader. So what matters is that that's the sentiment people are walking away with after your tweet storm. It's not helped by these Patrick Bet-David, wolf in sheep's clothing, cocksucker podcaster guys who are just up your ass because they have money. The extent to which you deserve to be a king, more importantly, or equally importantly, how posterity will look upon your works is directly related to your attitude, your benevolence towards the American people. the Cybertruck's cool, but if America crumbles, it's because we've taken on too many outsiders who don't give a shit about the country. Then the Cybertruck will be a footnote in a Wikipedia. It'll be the DeLorean. It'll be something interesting. People look back, oh, that was kind of cool. You know why they won't be driving it? Because they'll be driving a Neo, and China will be the first to Mars. This isn't fixed by moving the goalposts of what an American is. It would be a lot easier if an American was just an Indian with an Ivy League degree. It would make this whole problem go away instantly if that worked. If you could just wave your hand and say that an American is a Guatemalan who was born here, that's an American. We wouldn't have to have this painful conversation. It would be so easy if you could do that, if it were a computer simulation. That's Marvel movie shit. An American is whoever Doctor Strange brings through the portal to beat Thanos. The new Spider-Man is an American. It's a lesbian from Sri Lanka who just came here to start up a cupcake business. But she listens to Cold Wave. And she just came here to start up her hair dye business. She's an American. She's here for the American dream. That's not reality. That's math, that's Marxism, that's computer programmer, simulation, bullshit. We all know what an American is. And all these paragraph-long definitions and high-minded ideas, it's just propaganda. We know what an American is. And if you're not here to help the American people, then your usefulness to us is over with. The right wing, Republicans, conservatives, etc., they are trolls and memers and shit posters, and they have acerbic ideas, and they're also the most forgiving people. They are the most forgiving people. Anytime anybody does anything remotely based, they are absorbed by the right. Anna Kasparian talking about not feeling safe in her neighborhood. That's based, man. Anna Kasparian was red-pilled this whole time? I can't believe it. Damn. People, broadly speaking, do not expect you to be full-on 1950s racist Hank Hill, get him out guy. Get him out of here! That's not what they're looking for, okay? They're fine with the Silicon Valley tech version, the occasionally based, occasionally Neil deGrasse Tyson soy face. They love that Elon. It's this idea that Americans aren't good enough, this misunderstanding of what America is. You're just as bad as the people you bought the website from, if this continues to be the case. Are you able to listen to valid criticism? It's not from Russian bots. It's not a coordinated attack on you. It's tens of thousands of people pissed off because they think you betrayed them. I hope to God you're a leader. And the rest of you can keep watching this right now. Check it out. asmongold.com/ what's the guy's name? Moist Critical. That's the website. asmongold.com/moistcritical. You can now, if you're not Elon, you can jump over to the regular video and start watching. What I actually believe, I think that the U.S. economy is grinding to a halt, and that the tech bros and investors, it's like someone tweeted about this, the bubble in the Japanese economy, where Japan was faced with the decision to either start importing people or get ready for a long winter. I saw that tweet and that immediately rang true. I think that these investor bros are counting on AI to offset the loss in productivity of this dying empire. It's slowly being realized that AI is, for all intents and purposes, a glorified spell checker. I use AI all the time. I'm a pro subscriber to ChatGPT and Perplexity.ai. I have Perplexity AI as my default search engine, and it's about as good as searching forum posts was 20 years ago. It's not some revolutionary thing. It's extra-dimensional autocomplete. The words have weighting and tone and various other dimensions that are vectors, and what you get at the end of it is an article that can almost fool a computer into thinking it was written by a human. I think there's a game of musical chairs going on with money, and people are desperate for a way to keep that game of musical chairs going, even if it means fucking us over. The idea that these tech guys want to bring an exceptional people is just not true. They're looking to hire basically slaves who can't leave their company without leaving the country, who will work for 50%. That's the other thing. They keep saying they'll work 80 hours a week, which is bullshit. Nobody works 80 hours a week. They work 20 hours a week of actual work, and the rest of the time is spent fucking around on the phone and showing the boss that they're working 80 hours a week, sitting in the office. They're not actually working 80 hours a week. And furthermore, why should anybody have to work 80 hours a week? Why is this a race to create slaves? Why is that a good thing? Why is that a humane thing? Why is that good for humanity? How is it possible, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're left or right, why is it a good thing to want slaves? They'll work 100 hours a week. They'll work in their sleep. They'll work 200 hours a week. They'll work infinity. They'll have no lives. That's not a good thing. If you want more hours out of somebody, you have to pay them more. It's just money. They'll do it for 20,000. That's what they're saying. They're pretending like they're complimenting their diligence and their work ethic. What they're really saying is we can hire them for cheaper. That's what that means. 80 hours a week or pay them 100,000 more a year. It's the same thing. They're just saying you can pay these people 150,000 instead of 400,000 or 80,000 instead of 250,000. It's just money. Any system that gets set up is going to be gamed. This one is gamed by Indians who are master gamers. Pull up the Cognizant article. This is a company that was found guilty of setting a pattern and practice of discrimination against non-South Asian and non-Indian workers. That's not the intention of the program. The intention of the program is to create a meritocracy. But like Thomas Sowell said, you have to judge things on their outcomes, not their intentions. You could make a law called the everybody good, free money, everything good law, but if the end result is that quality of life goes to shit, that's what you have to judge it on. And so this H-1B stuff, you can't judge it on the floral, high-minded, beautiful, humanistic language that's used to sell it. That's just propaganda. You have to judge it on the end result. Here's another one. Hire workers at a fraction of the cost of American workers. Force them to work longer hours because they won't leave their job, because if they quit, they're gone from America. This is not helped by a government oversight committee or anything like that. It's just the case that when you set up a system that can be gamed, it gets gamed. That's how people work. They're looking for the path of least resistance. They're looking to maximize their benefit from the system. That's just human nature. Massive payouts over claims they discriminated against American workers in favor of foreign workers. Apple paid $25 million to the deal, which is like $25 to a regular person. Apple engaged in a pattern of citizenship status discrimination in recruitment positions. The claim that we can't find talented people here is nonsense. That's dishonest. The claim should be that we can't afford to pay talented people enough, or we don't want to. Sorry for getting overly serious here with you. At the end of the day, I think you should buy Bitcoin. There's this tendency to want powerful people or people in a leadership position. You get emotional when their every worldview doesn't line up with yours. You know, Trump's not based enough, or Joe Rogan's too whatever. But these are the men who define our times. And I think it's important you allow them to be flawed people to some extent, but also to push back when they go nuts. But in this case, I think that, it's critically important. It's moist critically important. It's moist critical. This is the whole thing that Moist Critical says every time we talk to him. He put it all on the line to become the free speech guy and to turn Twitter into the global discussion space of the world. And you don't accidentally become adored by people. He can't just say, oh, I was just building a business and then I was saying stuff online and then I guess people looked up to me. No. There are plenty of quiet billionaires. There are plenty of quiet money makers, inventors. There are plenty of quiet engineers. There are plenty of people who aren't going to the Met Gala in the Satan costume. Okay? There are plenty of people like that. You don't accidentally become the hope of a nation. You don't accidentally become the hope of a generation. You don't. So if he wants that, I think he can have it. And I think he deserves a shot at course correction. He's been under attack by everybody for his whole entire career. So I think he deserves that shot. If he fumbles this, then that's his legacy. I don't have any sort of committed opinion as to what's going to happen from here. I'm mostly concerned with Asmongold, as we said, Moist Critical. What games are they playing? Tall Guy, what was that game we played?
Tall Man Run.
Tall Man Run, that's what I'll be doing tonight. A little bit of Raid Shadow Legends, is that the game? Last War Survivor, big into that these days. I'm mostly doing that. Elon's #1 ranked Diablo 4, huge achievement. I'm #1 ranked Raid Shadow Legends. Raid what? Last Survivor?
Last Survivor.
I'm #1 on that Last Survivor. Check me out on the boards there, guys, all right? Boom. Peace.
Wow. I thought that was an incredible video. I thought it was worth uploading and
The number is 9456.
sharing my thoughts on. And yeah, it's just so, it is a complete and total betrayal. I don't think it's too late for Elon. I think he can absolutely pull things around, but it would require him to get serious. It would require him to apologize, to undo what he did, to admit that he was wrong, that he didn't understand. There are a lot of things involved if Elon wants to course correct, but I think that he absolutely could. I really think he could. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going on nearly an hour and 20 minutes. I appreciate those who stuck it out and watched the whole thing. I genuinely appreciate it. I may cut out the middle section of the video where my internet went out and may have thought about wrapping up the video because the internet was not working. But yeah, I appreciate the people that have supported the channel. I appreciate the people that support this country, that are willing to say America first and believe it. That it's not just an economic zone. It's a collection of ideas. No, it's a people. And the people need help. And they don't need foreign labor to come and compete for lower wages. It's one of the reasons why we wanted to get rid of illegal immigration. We need to do the same thing with legal immigration for the time being. It's a no-brainer. Anyone who's being honest recognizes this. And it needs to be that no people get to come in for the next 5 to 10 years. There's no choice. We have to fix the problems that are going on now. So anyway, that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.